Don't you love that? Don't you really think it is a wonderful world? It really is. A lot of gifts in our world. What I know about the gifts, though, is that there's a lot of them in our lives and all around us, and sometimes we don't see them. Sometimes they're unwrapped. They're unwrapped. What that means, I think, is that we don't open them, we don't see them, and they're right in front of us. And that's kind of what I want to talk about today, is why so many of the gifts around us remain unopened. You know, we fail to unwrap them because we don't notice them. And we don't notice them because we're too busy thinking of other things in our head. We have too much going on. We narrow our perception to a life that we think, that we know, we want, instead of opening up to seeing what life has to offer us. You know, we have preconceived ideas about what life should look like. And we get pretty, intent on this is the way it should be. So that's kind of what I want to talk about today. I want to focus on attention and about self-reflection, about looking at our lives, going within, so that we can really become fully who we are. Because who we are is really, really beautiful. And I think the more open we are, and the more that we can get out of our heads, the more that we really start to feel that. So I'm hoping that that's what this message does for you today. This whole service helps you to open your heart and to really notice the people, the things, be mindful, Tom. That's important. When we're mindful of the stuff in our lives, that's what attention is being mindful so that we can open up and be more compassionate with ourselves and with other people. And we're grateful. Eleanor Roosevelt once said that beautiful young people are accidents of nature, but beautiful old people are works of art. I think we're all works of art. I really do. I think everybody is a work of art, and that's, if we could just get that, we can understand, we could do so much with our lives if we really, really knew that we were a work of art, if we knew who we really are. There's you've all heard it, there's a story about Michelangelo, and somebody asked him, how do you create such beautiful, beautiful sculptures? And he said, I see the sculpture, and then I just chip away the marble. That's all. I see it, and I chip away the marble. And I love that, because that's what we're talking about today when I'm talking about self-reflection and attention and things. I'm saying that we need to work on ourselves enough to be able to chip away some of our unskilled behaviors, the marble, until our beautiful old person comes through, right? That beautiful piece of art that we are. And that's what the work that we do, the spiritual work we do, chips away until we can see this beautiful presence, this essence, this beauty of who we are. And when you know who you are, and other people know who you are, wow, the world changes, your world changes, and the world out there changes too. Cutting away our rough edges, our unskilled behavior. Okay, self-reflection, it goes back centuries ago. Since the world's first, person, we've all looked at our lives and said, wow, is this it? Well, who am I? What am I doing? It's in every spiritual tradition. Today I'm using a book that we've actually done a class on it before, and some of you, I remember being in that class, and it was the book on Nikon, it's called. It's a Japanese art form, and it's called Nikon, Looking Inside, Self-Reflection, and that's what it means. It's the Japanese word meaning looking inside, seeing with the mind's eye yourself. How am I doing with life? How do I feel about life? How do I feel about things? Am I grateful? What am I giving to life? What troubles am I causing somebody else? So it is a structured kind of method of self-reflection, of looking within and then asking these questions. And once we start to do that, we start to enlarge our perspective about life. We start to see life in a bigger way. We cultivate this mindfulness and this appreciation for our life. And even today now, this is a Nikon has been used for centuries and centuries, but they put it into a format, the guy who wrote this book, Nikon, and it's now used in mental health counseling, it's used in addiction treatment, in prisons, schools, and it's based on these three questions that they ask. What have I received? What have I given? And what troubles and difficulties have I caused? And the practice goes, you either do it in the morning, you do it at night, you do it when something happens in your life. But you know those questions, they remain on your mind, so that when something happens, you can ask yourself what that is and go within, see? So I hope today that's what you know inside, the questions to ask when you're looking at your life. Both the readings that we had, see, talk about self-reflections. I love Judy's reading when she talked about this magnificent tree that was cut down. The gift that tree gave you a tissue. You know, how often do we just walk by something and we don't even say thank you. We don't even recognize it. We don't even notice it. And the beauty, everything's right in front of us and we don't even understand that. We don't notice that the tree, that tree gave up for our comfort so that we could blow our nose. I mean, that's to me pretty profound. I kind of read that poem to my grandson, and he didn't think it was that big a deal. He goes, well, the tree gives up its life so that you can blow your nose on it. That's pretty gross, you know, Grandma. You know, and I think he'll get it someday, you know. I love what Stacy's reading says. She said that it gets me out of the me, and the me, my wants, my comfort. And so much of our life is about just us, right? What we can get from it, what we can get and not give. You know, so I want to spend some time reflecting on that. You know, when I go to bed and look at my life, and what did I give back? You know, I don't think you can ever outgive God, I know that. You can't outgive life because there's so many gifts, but we can try, right? We can try, we can give and give and give. And what I know is that the more that you give, the more that comes back to you. I read this book called Giving Yourself Away, and the guy goes out every day, that's his practice, and he gives away everything, from kindness to smiles to love to money, whatever it is. He spends his life giving. And what he says is that everything starts to come back to him so much that, you know, he gives out kindness one day. That's what I'm going to do, I'm going to be kind to somebody. And then all this kindness comes back to him, he's overwhelmed with it. And I believe that's the kind of universe that we live in. The more you give out, the universe sees it and gives it back to you. I've always heard that what you lack, give. Give back so you get it back. And I so believe that with all my heart. You know, if you want attention, if you need that, you need to give attention. If you need money, you need to give money. Just a little bit. You know, you need that thing. Give it out so it comes back to you. That's the gift. You know, sometimes I think we get pretty selfish in our lives when we are some tunnel vision over what we think that we should have. You know, we want life our way. You know, we get this narrow vision and we search for this ideal to match the ideal that we created in our mind. We search for this life, this idea, right? And when that happens, then we shut the door on all the other possibilities. I want it to look this way, it has to look this way. And if it doesn't, you know, then you're upset and you shut your door on all the things that could be happening in your life. Because when you broaden your vision of what life should be, wow, everything opens up for you. You know, you're surrounded by incredible possibilities. I've seen that happen here at Common Ground so much. I was thinking about this when I was 15. This is a good example of it. I set my mind on a pair of white go-go boots. Anybody remember the white go-go boots in the 60s? Yes, of course Robert did. But you know, those go-go boots, I mean, they were like, you know, really important, okay? All the kids at school had them but me, you know, I thought. So it was Christmas time and I asked for them. And I knew I would get them, right, if I asked for them. Now, we had 5 kids, so we grew up kind of, you know, we didn't get a heck of a lot. Actually, our Christmas tree was filled with presents, but they were like practical presents, you know, that you needed. We even had toilet paper under it one year, I remember. Just stuff like that we had lots. So I remember on Christmas morning, that we got, there's 5 of us, and we ran downstairs, and we started piling through the gifts, and we started to open them all, and I was finding the one that my boots would be in, right? And I was going through this and that, through everything away, till I finally found this one box, and I thought, that's my boots, right? So I opened up the box. It was a pair of boots, all right, but they were this cheap vinyl version of what I wanted. I wanted leather, right? I wanted the ones like my best friend Karen had. And hers were like beautiful, you know, from the Bon Marché, which was a nice store. And I got mine from like J.J. Newberry's, right? Remember Newberry's and Grants and things like that? So Mom tried to shop there and she thought she was getting the right thing. And I remember looking at those boots, and I wasn't a bad kid, but I remember being so disappointed that I got these cheap version of what everybody else had, right? So the point being is that I kind of pouted and I felt sorry for myself. I kind of opened my other gifts and, you know, they were okay, but all I could think about was I didn't get those boots that I wanted. And I thought about that whole day, the family came over, my grandma and grandpa, we had a great time, my brothers and sisters were there. All that stuff, all those gifts will go unnoticed because I didn't get the gift that I wanted. And I thought about that today in my life, and I thought, you know, every so often, and I'm sure it happens in you, that little child surfaces in your life. And you don't get exactly what you want. And what I know about that is that, boy, when we pout about it and when we think we should have something, we miss the other stuff that's around us. We miss the gifts and the possibilities. You know, there were so many gifts that day, that Christmas day, that I probably missed because I pouted and pouted. See, most of us are like that. We concentrate on the obstacles of our life. We concentrate on the boots that we didn't get, instead of the beauties of life. We fail to see the beauty of kindness, of support that people gave us during the times we needed it. Right now, I've got 4 obstacles at my house because my family moved into my house. You know how I moved out of their house? Well, they moved into my house because they're remodeling and they're going to be there for a couple months, I guess. You know? So, okay, those are my obstacles. Now, after doing this talk, I'm going, I'm not going to see this as an obstacle, right? I always wanted to spend more time with my grandkids as they got older. I just didn't realize they're almost teenagers now, and you know, I wanted to spend time when they were little. but the truth is, I'm starting to, you know, connect with them again, you know, and it's a good thing. You know, there are some stuff you go through, but what I'm saying is that I'm opening up to see the gifts in what I would have one time, oh, this is, you know, these are obstacles. And the truth is that I'm starting to know that, wow, you know, I'm thinking about Jan, one time you said something about, you know, I've thought about this a lot, about a shoe or something that was at your house, and you, instead of looking at that as like, oh my gosh, what a mess, these kids left the shoe, that you wanted to remember that they were there, you know, that the kids are there. And so that's what I'm looking at. I'm seeing messes in my house that I didn't have before because I keep a very clean house. And I'm going, it's okay, you know, pretty soon those kids aren't going to be there. And what's important, right? What's really important? I got to appreciate them the way they are. So I found this little story, and it kind of speaks to that. It's about a master teacher, and the people came to this master and they said, how come you're so happy in a world of such impermanence, where you can't protect your loved ones from harm or illness or death? The master held up this glass and he said, someone gave me this glass, and I really like this glass. It holds my water very well and it glistens in the sunlight. I touch it and it rings. One day though, the wind will blow it over off the shelf, or my elbow may knock it off. And he said, I know one day the wind may blow it off the shelf, or my elbow may knock it off from the table. And I know that this glass is already broken. So I enjoy it incredibly. So I thought, what does that mean? And I think it means what we're talking about right here is that we know life is impermanent, right? We know it comes and it goes, the problems, the gifts, everything comes and goes. And appreciation is what I'm talking about here, is that we know the glass is going to break someday. Enjoy it while it's here. Enjoy it while it's here. See, I can handle the chaos and the mess because I know one day it's not going to be there. This too shall pass. Works both ways, doesn't it? The good and the bad. This too shall pass. I'll never forget Brene Brown telling the story of looking at her little baby in the crib. And I know you guys can relate to this, that she looks at the baby and the baby's sleeping, and that's when, you know, when you really love them the most. When they're laying there sleeping, not making a noise. And she's just looking at this little baby, you know, and she's going, oh my God, I just love you. And she's got this moment of just bliss. And then all of a sudden what kicks in is, oh my God, it could die. You know, it could die. That's the first thing that kicks in, and I get that. You know, it's like, oh my God, what if something happens? What if I lose this? And that's what our mind does. Our mind first sees with presence, with mindfulness, this beauty laying in front of us, this beautiful treat, this baby. It sees it, and then our mind kicks in and says, oh my God, what happened? What's going to happen? And I thought, wow, you know, that's why we self-reflect. We look at where our mind is so that our mind can drop to our heart and we can live in this presence that is our heart. You know, by reflecting, we get to know ourselves. We get to understand who we are. We get to see sometimes when we gossiped too much through the day, when we were selfish, when we were rude, or when we were short with somebody. We need to step back and say, wow. And when I say this, I say gentle self-reflection. This is not about beating yourself up, because it's too easy to beat yourself up and say, why did I do that? Why did I say that? Oh my God, I know better than that. I've been doing a common ground for 15 years and I shouldn't be, thinking this. That's not what this is about. This is about opening your heart up and seeing that you too are this beautiful soul, this beautiful piece of art that needs a little work in some areas, right? You need a little work. We all need a little work. And when we do, we gain wisdom. When we self-reflect and look what's in there, we gain this incredible wisdom that we can take out to the world. And the more we do it, right, the more we do that, the more wisdom we put out to the world, the more wisdom that we have within. See, beneficial self-reflection is huge. You can learn from what happened to yourself. So when it frees us. You know, it frees us to be the person that we were meant to be. These beautiful, beautiful pieces of art. So when we chip away that marble from the statue, we become that beautiful piece of art. We become that. So, as my time has ended, let me just remind you of the 3 questions. And I think it's on your handout. Did you get it on the handout? Oh, great. Keep those, you guys. Keep them in your mind, or keep the thing until you get them in your head. And say those to yourself. You know, at night before you go to bed, look at your day and see, what did I give today? And it's not money. That's not what we're talking about. Sometimes we say give and you go money. That's not what I'm talking about, although it can be. But I'm talking about your kindness, your love, your compassion, your attention. Or did you just drive right here without looking at the beautiful mountains? What did you give today? And boy, I'll tell you what, I've done this exercise. The next one, what did I receive? Whether you know it or not, you have received so many gifts. The gift of life and then all the gifts that go with that. They're huge. You can't outgive. Always your receive line is way bigger than your giving line. And then really what's important if you want to work on your unskilled behavior is what troubles have I caused? What challenges have I caused another? What challenges have I caused life? Look at those. And when we do, we start to chip away that marble and become the beautiful piece of art that we all are. Thank you.